Good morning, folks, and welcome to this week's edition of TCS Student News. I'm your host, Claude, here with my co-host,
Destiny.
Let's get started with the news. For our first story, China is now trying to interfere with worldwide media in order to promote its propaganda and scare rid of criticism. A report out of Reporters Without Borders said that China is using multiple methods, such as increasing international broadcasting and increasing advertisement, to spread their worldviews. Coming from the report, China spends $1.3 billion yearly in order to increase Chinese presence in global media. Part of this money goes into putting advertisement in Western media sites. Since many news media outlets are struggling to make a profit, they are more tempted to take advertisement money from Chinese companies. China is also giving starting journalists paid trips to China to go train. In reality, China is trying to gain loyalty from these new journalists, making sure they do not give the country bad publicity. Another problem is that Chinese investors are buying stake within some media sources. By doing this, companies will be forced to follow the investors' rules in order to keep the money they are receiving. Even though these are very problematic things, the report is most likely just a little bit of what China is doing. Reporters Without Borders wants upcoming journalists to use this report as a means to be suspicious about Chinese activity within news media. If you are aspiring to become a journalist, pay attention to the companies and people who want to quote-unquote help you to make it in the news world.
Moving to Israel, on Monday, explosions were reported across the Gaza Strip. Israel apparently sent jets to drop multiple rockets on the Gaza. One of the buildings that the attackers aimed for was a military intelligence headquarters. After Israel sent the rockets, the militants of the Gaza sent rockets to hit southern Israeli towns. But all the Palestinian militant groups are denying that they did. They were asked if they did send out rockets because one of the rockets hit a building, leaving 7 Israelis injured. The Israeli military blamed the Hamas, but one unnamed group member denied that they had anything to do with the attacks. After the attacks, the tension between Gaza and Israel is strong. For now, the Israeli and Palestinians were waiting for what comes next.
Moving back home to the U.S., the Kremlin and Donald Trump are celebrating the conclusion from Mueller's report. In the summary released by Attorney General William Barr, no collusion between the Russian government and Donald Trump took place during the 2016 presidential election. However, the summary did mention that Mueller's report did find that Russia did interfere in the election, including the use of email hacking, online propaganda, and social conflict. In Barr's summary, one of the organizations that were named for causing social conflict was the Internet Research Agency, a troll farm company that was producing fake information on social media websites in order to cause tension between people. After the release of the report, many Russian officials, including the Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov, went on about the U.S. and Russia that could finally restore and rebuild a relationship. However, with current sanctions and most of Mueller's report not being released, U.S.-Russian relations are more likely to stay in the current state that they're in, rather than improve. Personally, I would like for U.S. and Russian relations to improve. However, more of the report needs to come out before we can draw a true conclusion on what really took place during the election.
For our final story, we are moving to the Democratic Republic of the Congo. The Ebola outbreak has worsened. Since August, the outbreak has been raging in North Kivu and Ituri provinces. This outbreak is the second largest of all time. The World Health Organization said there were 1,009 cases and 629 deaths. The doctors who were treating the people are being attacked. Even a cop was killed. They said that the reason they are being attacked is unknown, but they do know that there are groups of armed people attacking the doctors. The World Health Organization is trying to vaccinate as many people as they can. 96,000 people have already been vaccinated. The vaccination has already saved thousands of lives. The doctors who are risking their lives to save their people. It is amazing how the doctors are still helping, even when there are armed groups attacking their organizations.
Now it is time to come back home to TCS News. On Friday, we had a wonderful conversation with a former student of the school, Jake Nichols. Jake Nichols was one of the first students of the school back in the days where students had to cut wood to heat the building and drugs were claiming many people around them. He and Mr. Tom knew each other before the school even began. After bouncing around from job to job, he finally settled on being a cop for Baltimore City. After 20 years, he is a detective for Northern District. He is extremely proud of serving the place he grew up in so long ago. In the beginning, he wasn't fond of the police for good reasons. With Mr. Tom's history with police brutality and growing up in the wrong group of kids, I wouldn't want to become a cop for Baltimore City. However, you would have to realize that not every crop is corrupt or brutal. And after realizing this, he became who he is today. Thank you so much for coming in, Mr. Jake. We hope we can see you again in the future.
On Tuesday, seniors and juniors had a CSI lab. What they did was spit into a cup and pour cornstarch in it. They were testing if the cornstarch would dissolve in the saliva. This must have been a fun lab. I can't wait until I'm able to attend CSI labs.
On last Thursday, we had another space lab with Miss Elaine. We continued on working on our plans on building our satellites to our planets. We are now either designing our satellites, creating our PowerPoints or lithographs, or coming up with our materials list to build our satellite. With only 4 classes left, we are hoping to finish our satellites by the beginning of May. Thank you for coming in and doing all this for us, Miss Lane. All of us deeply appreciate your effort to teach us and help us build our very own satellite.
On Tuesday, we had another Shadow Day. We have had over 20 Shadow students this year. There were 3 Shadows at our school on Tuesday. They were all potential candidates for next year. Now let's discuss Shadow Day. TCS is spreading the word about openings in the school for next year. That's where the students step in. On Friday, Ronan and Aiden went to the Roland Park to meet with the counselors and teachers, and they talked to a group of students about our school. Also, Olivia and I walked around Hamden leaving flyers on poles and bus stops. We even went to stores and put flyers in the windows. If you know anybody that would be a great candidate for the school, please give the school a call.
Moving on, we would like to congratulate Donald and Jordan on finally starting their first day in college while still in TCS. You're going to be able to earn some college credits even before they leave TCS. In honor of their achievement, Mr. Tom got them the first ever TCS ranks. We are extremely proud of both of you making it this far, and we hope you guys continue on working hard, improving your lives after TCS.
On Wednesday, we went to a library. It is called the Roland Park branch of Ecnoc Prep Library. We students went around the library looking for books. After we have chosen a book, we read it for homework. Mr. Tom believes that reading is a very important skill, a skill that is needed for college, jobs, etc.
In our final story, we would like to thank everybody who provided a lunch this week for the school. Thank you, Miss Peg, for making your wonderful chicken quesadillas, salad, pineapple, and almond chocolate on Tuesday. Thank you, Miss Janae, for providing tacos on Wednesday. Thank you, Miss Sandy, for providing pasta last Friday. We are greatly thankful to have people like you guys keep providing the school lunch.
Well, this is the end of this week's edition of TCS News. We hope you enjoyed, and I can't wait to see everyone next week.